Hello everyone, it's Mr. Wolfe here, and in this video I'm going to be going over Target 3 on karyotypes. Specifically, this target states, I can examine karyotypes to determine sex and conditions such as Down syndrome. So questions that this target helps explore are, what determines a person's sex, and what is the cause of Down syndrome? Alright, so first let's get down what a karyotype is. So a karyotype is a micrograph of a complete diploid set of chromosomes grouped together in pairs arranged in order of decreasing size. So what does that mean? Well, let's say that we are looking at a cell under a microscope and we see a bunch of chromosomes like this. All right. Now it looks like they're all scrambled. What scientists could do is they could match these chromosomes based on size. So for instance, the two largest ones and then also the two largest ones that have a similar pattern. See how like the yellow and yellow match up here, and that like there's certain like darker spots. They'll be relatively the same size, and their patterns will match up. That'll tell us that those are homologous chromosomes, and then we would put them on the micrograph like this. And we would do the same thing for all 23 pairs of chromosomes. All right. So when we look at a karyotype, remember that humans have 46 chromosomes, 23 pairs, and there's when looking at a karyotype, the last, like the 23rd pair of chromosomes, we don't call them chromosomes pair 23, we call them the sex chromosomes. And those are either going to be, that's either going to be an X chromosome or going to be a Y chromosome. And we'll go into detail on what those mean in a sec. So that means that all the other chromosomes in your cell do not determine your sex, if you're male or female, and those are just called autosomes. All right. Something to know about sex chromosomes is, yes, they carry genes that would make you a female or male, but they also carry just some ordinary genes. So for instance, like eye color is carried on an X chromosome, even though that has nothing to do with sex. All right, so let's talk about determining sex, and I'm going to kind of bring in a tangent story about Henry VIII. You guys probably have heard of him through world history this year. Henry VIII. King Henry VIII, 6 wives. He was wedded, 1 died, 1 survived, 2 divorced, 2 beheaded. So for King Henry, his wives wouldn't produce a male heir to the throne, and so he ended up killing a lot of them. But it turns out that the male's gametes determine sex. And by the way, that should say sex, not gender. All right, so how does that work? All right, well, if you're a female, you're going to have you're going to have 2 X chromosomes, and if you're a male, you're going to have 1 X and 1 Y. That determines your sex. So let's say that we have a male and female mate, and remember, you only pass down 1 of each chromosomes, right? You're going to be passing down a haploid gamete. So if you're a female, well, you're always going to pass down an X, right? And let's say the male just happens to pass down his X chromosome in this case. That means their offspring is going to be a girl. All right, now let's look at a male. So let's say instead that, the female again is always going to pass down that X chromosome, but the male in this case passes down his Y chromosome. Well, in that case, the offspring is going to be a boy. All right. So let's go a little bit deeper into karyotypes. And what I want you guys to do is look at this karyotype and what is different about this karyotype compared to the other ones we've looked at. And this, by the way, this image isn't in your notes. So I'll give you guys about 10 seconds to look at it. What's different? So hopefully you guys notice that chromosome 21 here, all the other chromosomes like 10, 11, 12, they all have just 2 pairs. Chromosome 21 has 3 chromosomes. They have an extra chromosome 21. So what does this mean? Well, first of all, if you have a extra chromosome 21, that's going to be the cause of Down syndrome. So individuals with Down syndrome just have an extra chromosome, 21 specifically. All right. So what causes this? It's actually going to be an error in meiosis, in which the homologous chromosomes fail to separate properly. Specifically, it's called non-disjunction. So how does that work? Well, we have just a general image of meiosis here, right? Normally, you have your diploid cell. We go through DNA replication. It splits to form 2 end cells again, and then those split again to make your 4 gametes, your 4 haploid cells. But sometimes that we notice these 2 purple chromosomes, they were supposed to go to the right, but they accidentally go to the left. And so as a result, you get these cells that might have an extra chromosome or may not even have that chromosome in them at all. So the error could happen in the first division, or it could also happen in the second division as well. All right. So when you have non-disjunction, it could lead to monosomy, or it could lead to trisomy. So let's look at the monosomy first. So monosomy is when only one copy of a particular chromosome, so for instance maybe chromosome 21, is present in a diploid organism. So let's look at an example of how that would happen. Let's say I have a sperm cell and it's carrying, this could be, let's say, chromosome 21, it could be chromosome 22, right? This is normal. We want just one set of that chromosome. But then the egg cell, maybe due to non-disjunction, maybe it was one of these cells here that didn't get a chromosome. It forms with the sperm cell, and so when you're supposed to have two pairs of each chromosome, you just have one, and that's called monosomy, right? One for mono. So then trisomy is when you get an extra copy of a particular chromosome. For instance, chromosome 21 an extra chromosome might be present in a diploid organism. So how that might happen is, in this case, I have my egg cell, and it's carrying just that one chromosome. That's normal. That's what we want for meiosis. But this sperm cell accidentally got two, let's say, chromosome 21s. And so finally, when fertilization happens, when the sperm meets up with the egg cell, what you get is trisomy, right? An extra chromosome. And this could be the extra chromosome 21. This would be the cause and an example of Down syndrome right here. All right. So this concludes our lecture on karyotypes and being able to determine gender, and then also looking at some errors called non-disjunction and how they can lead to monosomy and trisomy and specific chromosomal disorders such as Down syndrome. Thanks for watching, guys.